Hi guys, and welcome to the Caro-Kann Overexplained Part 2. And we are going to take a look at pawn structures, specifically how you can break a pawn structure and play against the weaknesses. So let's start with e4 and c6, the start of the Caro-Kann, d4, d5. And here my opponent went into the advanced variation. I played f5, so there are basically two modern ways to play this: bishop f5 and this move c5. So bishop f5, bishop d3. So the idea of white is get this bishop out quickly, trade off our active bishop, and on the recapture the white queen immediately gets developed to an active square d3. So black takes. So now black will play e6, and he has solved at least the problem of this light square bishop, which would either be stuck here inside the pawn chain after if we wouldn't move it and we would play e6, and after bishop f5 maybe so here instead of d3 maybe white could target this bishop with moves like g4 or h4 followed by g4. So here white chooses another idea, and after queen takes d3, we solidify our pawn chain with e6. We make sure the bishop and the knight can get developed. And after knight to f3, here a good move. You would think perhaps that it is not a good move, but you have to here you have to know a bit of the lines or do your research. So c5 in fact is a good move. What's the point being that queen b5 can be just met with queen to d7, blocking the check, protecting this pawn. And if white tries to be clever and plays d takes c5, we can still take it, and after queen b5 play knight d7, and this is in fact a pawn sacrifice. So what are we getting in return? We are getting better development, free play, good control of the center, and this queen, as you see, will be a bit offside. So I will show you an example line. Queen takes b7, let's say knight e7. Let's say white castles, we castle. Knight c3, knight g6. So this pawn is a bit of a worry for white also. So this pawn is a bit weak perhaps. The queen is offside, and our development is extremely good. As you can see, we developed all of the minor pieces already. White still has to move this guy and connect the rooks. And after, let's say, rook e1, we can play rook b8. I'm going to quickly play through the next couple of moves to give you just an example, putting more pressure. And if white tries something like this, here we can just take out the pawn, and here you will need to calculate that, first of all, knight takes e5, we can just retake with the bishop, and nothing is hanging. And on knight takes c7, we have the intermediate check, knight takes f3, white is forced to recapture, and here we have won a pawn. We have far better central control, pressure down these files. Life is looking great for black, and in fact here the engine says it's already minus 1.5, despite it being an open position where white has the bishop, we have the knight. But as you can see, everything will probably go towards the queenside, and we have some nice ideas also maybe going knight e5, knight c4, and these white's queenside will be in trouble here. So that's just the sideline. So let's go back now to so just to show you that you can in fact play this move c5 here, but you have to be aware of the IDs. So perhaps my opponent realized this, perhaps he did not. Anyway, he played c3, and here I played knight to d7, but I do want to show you first, well, most people play knight c6, and I will explain to you now why I actually prefer knight b to d7. So let's say you go knight to c6 here. So the main advantage of knight to d7 is that, well, one of the main advantages, first of all, you block the check on b5, second of all, you can retake the pawn on c5, and there's also a deeper ID which I will show you when I discuss the main line. Here, let's see, knight on right c3, knight on c6. So let's say white castles, right? And let's say here we go queen to b6, and if white is clever, white can go d takes c5, bishop takes c5, and with b4 win a tempo on our bishop. The bishop has to go to f8. Well, it can go to e7, but then this knight won't have a good square to go. So if you see here, our pieces here are on the back rank. White's development is pretty good. It's not like black is lost here or anything, but yeah, this position I think is already slightly uncomfortable for black. And let's say you don't go queen b6 here, so after knight c6 castles, let's say you go c takes e4, and white recaptures with the pawn. So we get knight e7, and after knight c3, knight f5. Let's just, for example, for argument's sake, let's say knight e2, bishop e7, and here already g4 is coming. Let's say knight h4, knight takes h4, bishop takes f4, and after f4, well, white is developing already some kind of initiative. Sure, it might turn out that these pawns later could be weak, but first you are going to have to survive white's attack. That is why I actually prefer here the move knight to d7. And one idea which you will see in a moment is that you bring this knight actually to c6. So you bring this knight to e7, this knight goes to e7, knight to c6, and you have two very nice knights putting pressure on the center. This bishop can go to this bishop can go to e7, and yeah, I think it's just a far better setup. So castles, knight e7, as you can see. Let's say if d takes c5, well, we can just take immediately, and there's yeah, that's not really a big problem for black. So queen d2 by my opponent. I'm not sure what he was doing here. So knight c6, queen e2. I don't really get all these queen moves, but well, bishop e7, knight d2, and after castles and h3, wasting another tempo. I was thinking this can't be right? Well, white moved his queen around for a couple of moves. Now he's playing h3, and I was thinking it's probably time now to play some active chess, which I did with queen b6 and after knight to b3. Usually I don't close the position too soon, but here I thought it's pretty interesting. White wasted a lot of moves, so here I went c4 with the idea of moving my queen later and going for the typical minority attack b5, b4, maybe a5, a4, or a5, b5, b4. With the intention of weakening the pawn structure and bringing my rooks to the open files, open or half open files. So knight to d2, and here, there was a slight inaccuracy that I made. I played here queen to d8. The engine prefers to actually go, I think, queen to a5. So I'm guessing this is just a much more active square. Why did I go to d8? Well, there might be some knight g5, queen h5 IDs, right? Making use of the fact that this kingside is perhaps a little bit undefended. So here knight to b1, and I got on with my typical minority attack. b5, b4, a5 is coming, the rooks are coming. So knight a3, not the greatest move. First of all, I guess I can even just take, but then maybe if I take, then maybe right could play something like rook b1 and block my kingside, queenside, even though it looks like this is still great for black. But here just b4, and after c takes b4, knight takes b4. This knight can jump into d3, so now d3 is weak. I'm getting my rooks to the b file, the c file. The queen can come out again. So rook e1. Here knight to d3, and here I want you to pay some attention and maybe think about what you would do. Would you take out this knight, yes or no? Would you take out this bishop, yes or no? Which would you take out, one of these or both or none, and why not? So I actually excuse me, I actually started to take out this knight and take out this knight, with the point being that now white's queenside pawns are very weak. I have got a passed c pawn, and after queen a5 I'm already attacking this guy on a3. Queen b2 just runs until to a tempo rook b8, and after queen on c3, I think that was a mistake, since I can just trade, get rook to b2. This pawn is weak, this pawn is weak, this rook is coming. I have to be a little bit careful about some backrank issues, but at the moment there is no way white will come to the open file, since this pawn here is protecting b3, so there is no rook b3. This rook is controlling the entire b file, so there is no rook to b1. And after knight e1, rook to b8, knight to c2, I give a check. And after a5, I just didn't want to allow the knight to come here. g4, rook b2, f3, and here my opponent resigned, since he probably realized that with the knight pinned, I'm going to play knight to b6. I did play that, or didn't I? No, I think he gave up after f3. Yeah, he gave up after f3. But the point is, I'm going to play knight b6, and even if the king moves, I'm also just going to chase the rook. It has to give up the protection of the knight, and here I am easily winning. Thanks to, and I really want you to internalize this, the minority attack here with b5, b4, which was, I think, especially effective since white lost some tempi here. Don't even remember the moves, but he was dancing around with the queen, then playing h3. So I could get a very quick attack here on the queen side, very typical for this Caro-Kann structure, where all of you pawns are pointing towards the queen side. And here I'm not sure, well, knight d3 obviously the best move. I'm not really even sure if I had to take here, although the engine does like it. Why do I say that? Well, this here, d3 is a terrific outpost. Then again, if I take out everything, you have seen how weak these pawns become, and black just infiltrates through the b file, gets his knight in, and I think white is just strategically dead lost here. So one thing you do need to be a bit careful about, let's say you meet an opponent who doesn't play this slow. So what can he do instead? Let's say he plays something like, I don't know, maybe bishop e3, then knight c6. Let's say knight d2, queen b6, rook to b1, bishop e7. Let's go with this. So here, first of all, there are no pieces around the king, so this can be a problem. And yeah, this can be a problem. And here, well, you have I didn't realize it, but you immediately have some tactical problems here. But what I really wanted to show you, that even if this isn't, let's say there was a bishop on g7 or something, white here has the very typical idea of going f4, f5, or maybe h4, h5, and that is something you have to be aware of. So all in all, I think a very nice game. Let's check it with the engine. I suppose he's going to find one mistake in the form of, let's see, queen d8, yeah. So yeah, it's kind of a backward move, so I guess queen a5 would have been even better. But anyway, I think still a great example of the Caro-Kann and the typical queenside play, and how you can hopefully pull off these kind of queenside attacks in your own games. Thank you for listening. If you liked the video, please like, subscribe, or leave a comment, and I will see you maybe in one of the next ones.